Well, let me just finish by saying a few words, since this is the last time we shall be meeting here in this room. I reflected that the dates that have been chosen for the Edinburgh hearings, totally coincidentally, have a certain significance for the inquiry. We began on the first anniversary, if you want to call it that, of the acceptance by Parliament of the terms of reference, the 2nd of July. We finish on the second anniversary of the day on which our Prime Minister, Theresa May, announced that there would be an inquiry. That's 2 years to get where we have got to. We have begun. We have by no means finished, as you well know, the evidence which we have to hear. But I think it shows that anniversaries are not a cause for celebration in our case. They're a cause rather for reflection. There are a number of people here who might, had matters been quicker, have been here to see it. We do not have the luxury of time. But I do think it has been right to start by spending the time that we have hearing the accounts of those who have been infected and those who, like our last witness, have been affected by the infection of others. People first in the inquiry, and it is worth, to my mind, spending time. Now, I haven't got enough time to hear the accounts of everyone who would like to be heard, but let me just say this to those who have not yet come forward to give a witness statement, or those who are left feeling unhappy as I leave Edinburgh, that you haven't had the chance to give evidence orally as well as on paper as you would have wished. At the end of the hearing in Leeds, I said something similar to what I'm about to say, and following that, that very day, somebody who'd been in those hearing, what I was saying, came to the solicitors acting for the inquiry and offered a statement, because they hadn't felt that they had anything to offer beforehand. And it does not matter that you feel that other people may have more compelling stories or more distressing stories or more detailed stories, or can talk about more people in their family who've been affected than you can, or that your story simply seems so repetitive of that which has been told by others, because every single story plays a part, even if it is a part which reinforces that which has already been said. One pebble does not make a beach. A lot of pebbles do. A statement may be a pebble, it may be a rock, but all of them have value. And it is, to my mind, important to remember that we will still be hearing from those infected and affected, even though we move on now. We will hear next in Cardiff, that is beginning on the 23rd of July. Anyone who wants is very welcome to be there. That's a week in Cardiff. Wales is a little smaller than Scotland. Then we will hear again in October in London, and we are adding a week to the amount of time we have there to hear people who have been infected and affected, because the numbers who have come forward demand it, in my view. But at the end of the inquiry, there will be further opportunities, and I expect to hear something like 150, 200 people. The format will be slightly different from witnesses on their own or as a family telling their tale. There may be panels, but it allows people to say what they have to say and be heard orally if they wish. But it is not necessary to be heard orally you can be heard on paper. And it is, I think, particularly important, perhaps, that those who haven't yet had the courage, because it is difficult, to come forward and give a statement, let alone to come into this room and talk, whether anonymized or not, but to talk on paper about what has happened. If there is anyone, and it may be that there are cultural reasons or reasons of living in a small village or reasons of not having told friends, neighbours, even family, statements can be given and will be given confidentially. If anyone wishes, they may talk to one of the inquiry's intermediaries and give them an account which will not be attributable at all, so that what they have to say is captured. Because if we are to be faithful to my undertaking to honour the terms of reference and to answer them as best I can, then I need as much information as can be given. And each of you who has been infected and affected has a degree of that information. Please don't undervalue the contribution you can make. If you have a contribution to make, please make it. As I've been listening, I was asked earlier today whether it was different in each of the different centres we've been to. It has been. There is obviously much more in common than there is that separates. But each individual centre that we've been to, and it has shown to me the value of coming out of London and not being London-centric. We are, after all, a UK-wide inquiry, and it is a matter of principle to me that we should be out and around the country as much as we can realistically be within the constraints of finance and time that we have. But there have been similar stories in different centres, rather with a different emphasis. But in each case, those who have given evidence have shown, to my mind, impressive dignity, impressive courage, and impressive resilience in most cases. And I'd just like to thank those of you who've given evidence here, and those of you who have supported them by listening, for giving that evidence and for being here to listen. Because, as I have repeatedly said, listening is what this inquiry is and ought to be about. And just on the listening theme, the processes we use in this inquiry, I'm not, I hope, arrogant enough to think that we have got it completely right. I'm sure that there are matters that can be improved. If any of you think that there are aspects of what has happened to you and your experience in the last couple of weeks that could be done better, don't hesitate to mention that. If you're represented by one of the firms which represent core participants, tell them. If you are a direct witness of the inquiry, don't hesitate to be in touch with one of the inquiry's secretariat, because if we do anything, we want to do it right. So, finally, thank you. Thank you, Edinburgh, for being so hospitable. Thank you in a different way for the staff. They're different from you because you choose to be here, you volunteered, you don't have to be here. The staff, it is their job, it is what they do. And so in a sense, when I thank them rather in a different way for being here and serving us as they have. But most of all, I thank the witnesses for educating us, me, the inquiry team, just that little bit more. Those of you who come to London or Cardiff, I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.